Okay, this is the Gauntlet running Liminal 1970 Oxford. I'm just doing character creation with some interesting pair of investigators. So, to your question, drive. Drive is, why do you do this? It takes a special sort of, why do you investigate strange things? Why are you out there doing stuff? Now, this is your personal drive, not the team's drive. It could be you're looking for proof of your birth, or actually, is there some example drives in the book? Maybe
I just realized this character's basically Elijah Snow from Planetary.
That's right. I haven't seen that, so. So, some example drives to find out what the Fae courts want with me and why they keep trying to make deals, to make sure magical power does not fall into improper hands, to destroy vampires. They killed my family, etc. Sort of background and goal in one. John Hardesty. That sounds a bit noir detective.
Hey, you are not wrong in that. Jack's picture was Michael Caine.
Okay. Bloody hell. Bloody Google Mail. It's like, you're live on channel YouTube. And it's like, I know. I just started it. I pressed the button. I said, I don't need an email to tell me what I've done. It's like, what is the purpose of that? All right. Nice room as well.
I need to make my character a little less skilled because my current sum is 26. Should be 17.
Yes. Now, to give you some reference, generally it's 2d6 and the default target number is 8, and you add your skill. So if they're 1 or 2, it's still helpful. It makes a big difference. So.
Yep.
The way I like to think of it is 3 is you're good enough to teach others. We're talking about vehicles in games the other day, and I've been playing since '89, and I reckon I've had like 3 car chases in that time. It's like, what the hell is that? Car chases are like staple action movie stuff, but it's like they never seem to crop up.
No, there's not too many games that have really compelling chase rules. So I guess, if you're thinking about it from a mechanics perspective, it's,
yeah.
I guess.
But you'd think there would have been more in the last 10 years with all the Fast and Furious movies.
So, what do the traits do?
The traits are like your special abilities, things that you're good at. You only get 5 points, so if you spend over that, you've got to take some limitations. Generally, they do what they're titled, but if you want more specific thing, I can bring them up.
Yeah, I've got the book open. I'm poking through them right now. So.
I guess you could think of them as feats or just general special abilities. So yeah, 1970 Oxford. So telephone boxes, record players, football on the television. That's English Premier League, not NFL. No internet or mobile phones or DVD players. In the charts are Lola by the Kinks and Black Knight by Deep Purple.
So specialties, are they? Where do I find specialties on the character keeper? Or?
No, I don't think they are. What are you interested in?
I was thinking of looking at what specialties are there for awareness and lore, because they're my 3 threes, and thought I might kind of.
All right. So lore is the fair folk, ghosts, magical societies, magical theory, and shape changes.
Mm-hmm.
I say awareness.
I think I have it. I think I want a specialty in the fair folk. I think that fits.
Where's that not? Okay. Awareness is danger sense, listen, reactions, search, and surveillance. You don't have to specialize. It's just an option.
It's tempting. Because for an investigator, that would be very useful. Do you mind reading out the awareness once again?
Yep. So danger sense, aka Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, reactions, like the Mentalist, just looking, or Lie to Me, that other show. Search and surveillance.
Okay, so I think I might go with search, actually.
It's one of those ones that sit down in the comfiest chair in the room and you just sort of look around and, this is where I would put things. Bang, bang, bang. Here's where all the hidden stuff is. Right. All right. Something to think about is your crew. Typically, crews have like a name and a goal. I'm not so much worried about the name, because it could just be the Oxford Investigators or the Oxford whatever. But it is important to have some sort of shared goal, like protect mortals from vampires, or to make shitloads of cash, or whatever. Why you're working together. It may or may not be tied into your personal drives.
I kind of feel like maybe it's your firm, Bucket/John, whatever like the firm is, and like I kind of often tag along. Kind of, I'm I guess more than tag along, but like
Consultant.
Yeah, consultant, come along on some jobs. Kind of like I'm not a permanent member of the firm, but like I'm around. Kind of like yeah.
I mean, as long as you're tied together, it could just mean you went to primary school, or middle school together or whatever. But yeah, it's just, why are you in the investigation thing together? I guess it's
I wonder if I started off as your client.
Maybe.
Before I knew nearly as much about, like, I knew there was something weird about me and I didn't know what it was, and I was driven, because I'm beginning to think that I don't actually know that much about I didn't know that much about my Fey ancestry, and now I know a lot more. But I'm still kind of, I don't have the whole picture. And maybe you put those first pieces into place for me, and then it evolved from being a client to being a collaborator.
So, just because Blake mentioned like elementary or middle school, how would you feel about it happening when we were younger? Like, say, maybe you were, because you said you're a little bit younger, right? Like you're thinking late 20s, and I'm thinking like early mid 30s.
Mm-hmm.
If we narrow that age gap to about 2 years, so I need to slide mine down a little bit. It's plausible we could have met in school, or like maybe you moved into the area, and there's always something weird. Like maybe you were just uncommonly lucky or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I started trying to figure it out. And you came over one day, and tell me what you think would be more interesting, a grandmother or a great-grandmother who is basically cunning folk and just basically took a look at you, and it's like, oh. And she didn't know exactly what it was, but she knew there was something strange about you, something otherworldly. And that's how we started to investigate it and find out. And, maybe we both got a little bit of training from her.
I like that idea. Yeah. I think grandmother feels... I think a great-grandmother would be probably very old by that point. So I think kind of grandmother feels kind of like, if we were getting training, kind of, it feels a little more grounded. I don't know.
I thought it was John's grandmother, and she may have met your mother.
Yeah. And keep in mind, we're talking about a time when people were basically married at 17, 18, because it's 1970. If you are in your late 20s and I'm in I'm like 30 or so, like a couple of years ahead, that puts us being born during World War II.
Yeah.
And at that point, it would not be like our parents would probably be in their late 20s by the time we were hitting like 8, 10. So that pushes the grandparents to 40 or 50 and a great grandparent at like 70.
Yeah, I think great. I think, you're absolutely right. I think great grandma. That works really well.
Because I'm also thinking, who would have more of a connection to like the old world and the old ways of doing things? Maybe she's how we found out about things like ley lines and wards and whatnot.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the crew's goal may just be exploring liminal spaces together. That you're exploring the double world or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds good to me. Can I ask a quick question about limitations?
Yep.
There's a couple that are themed very broad, like vulnerability. Is that defined, or is that left open to interpretation?
You take extra damage from them if you get...
Okay.
But like, say you choose silver, you can still pick up a silver spoon. It'll sting a bit. You're not gonna die instantly or nothing. However, if someone stabs you with silver, it's going to do a lot more damage than it would normally. But you wouldn't wear silver jewelry in that case.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But you don't have to take limitations. If you like John will have to, because he's got too many traits, so he'll have to take some.
Yeah, I'm sorting stuff out right now.
No worries. But
God, there's too many traits that I want.
Yeah, it's a bit like that. When I first got the game, I created like an Uber Were Raven sorcerer, and I was like, I'm gonna have to reel this back. But it was.
Iron, I think, is overdone.
Well, in Liminal, it's actually bronze that Fairy are typically relying to.
I'll go for bronze then.
And it's not too bad, and it doesn't come up too often. It's not like...
Yeah, I guess it's only if someone knows specifically that they're going to have, like, knows or really kind of far too into the reenactment scene if they're going to have a bronze dagger.
Okay. Bodhi, do we want to have duplication of skills or traits?
No, we probably don't. I hadn't seen
no,
that
I'll
you
take
have.
Well, I mean, if you want counter magic, go for it. Because I've got geomancy on there to kind of like try to divine what's going on from spaces almost. So.
That's sorry, I just noticed break and entering and geomancy. That's a nice combo. I'm going to break into this place and rearrange the furniture because their feng shui is not right.
Yeah, I just went with vaguely faith-sounding things. So if you would like counter magic, there's more than enough for me to choose from.
You know, I think I can choose wards, can't I?
I think so.
Is that the next one down? Ward magic, there it is. Yeah, I can't do ward magic. That'll still pushes me over what I can get to. Well, actually, no, I could do that.
You don't need to investigate a trait. You've already got the skills. It's just that helps, that's all. And you can always sort of put that in as a buy later thing. One thing, do you have like a shared vehicle, like a van or a car, a base, like a flat or apartment, or decent gear? What did you yield from your first mission together, sort of thing?
What are you thinking, like an office maybe?
Yeah, that works.
Is there anything particular or special that we can add to the office, or?
Well, I mean, there's a back room if you need to crash somewhere because you're wounded or whatever, and you're not paying rent on it. Basically, you guys own it. So
okay.
Whatever legalities are taken care of, you own that building, or at least that 3-room section of that building.
Ooh. Okay, so Bodhi, what do you think about this idea? We own the building, but rent it out to like a small market, like a bodega almost. I'm not sure what they're called in the UK, but basically like the corner market where you can go to get cigarettes and a loaf of bread and like a small pack of toilet paper when you run out.
Yeah.
Like a 7-Eleven.
Yeah, pretty much. Or, like a Lawson's or something like that. But we rent out like the bottom floor to them, and we have like this upstairs office.
Yeah, I like that. And I think that's quite a good situation for us because it means that there's always people around. It's kind of, I'm thinking Dresden Files, how kind of it's always getting broken into by various supernatural creatures, and And so like always having kind of people coming and going is probably quite a nice. That's probably something that's quite nice for us.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, it certainly
And-
makes it a lot harder to figure out what we're up to. So,
And did you previously deal with lichens, a cult, or spirits?
what do you think?
I feel like either a cult or spirits. I feel like I've had several games involving werewolves recently, so like
Yeah.
that's
I had a lot of werewolf games in 2020.
I played 7 lycanthrope characters in 2020, so I can relate to that. Now, to tie into your background, the cult could have been worshipping a fae. There was a fae sort of masquerading as an ancient demigod or something, using their powers to fool the noobs or something.
Mm.
And you learned more about
lo-
the fae as you were investigating this cult sort of stuff.
Yeah, I like that idea. Maybe the court of the Winter King rather than the court of the Queen.
Yeah, he's a bit of a psycho anyway, so that's all right.
Uh-huh.
Because I read this and I'm like, he's a creepy bugger. He's keeping dead wives and stuff. This is, yeah. I'm happy to play again, overthrow that guy.
So,
It's not on.
a question for you: with the limitations, how does mark actually affect? How does mark come up mechanically in the game?
That's a good question. Something gives you away. Lack of reflection. Oh, okay, so vampires lack a reflection. Okay, so you're a mage, you might lack a shadow or something. All right, so something that marks you as non-human that makes it easier for humans to track you down if you start doing dodgy shit.
So, I have an idea. Let me know if this fits that limitation. Because I currently have ward magic on my traits and limitations list.
Yep.
What if that manifests as like tattoos of warding symbols?
Yeah, you can do that. I mean, there's an advantage called the sight, which a lot of magicians have, and they will see them even if you've got them covered.
Yeah.
Outside of that, yep, that's fine.
And I'm thinking like if I move even with like, wearing, like a suit and a long sleeve shirt, I'm thinking that if I move the wrong way, it'll like ride up a little bit too much on around my wrists, and you can see the tattoos poking out.
Yeah, it might be fey creatures can smell them, or people with the sight can see them, but otherwise, yeah.
But I mean,
they're
it's
not on your forehead; they are hideable generally.
They kind of follow the Setzer rule. Don't get a tattoo where a judge can see it. But
yeah,
I'm thinking that like if I move the wrong way, like even a normal person like seeing me at a restaurant, if I turn my head just the right way, can see a tattoo poking out from the collar, where like the collar shifts just enough that they can see a really strange looking symbol or something like that.
But I mean, it's the 70s, so there's a fair chance they're going to go, "Whoa, nice tats, man! I love Black Sabbath."
Yeah. So the point is, it's like there's a lot of them. It's not like there's just one. Like if I take off my shirt, my torso is covered. I have like warding sleeves tattooed. Okay. And with obliged, I see that says a debt. So I could have it's like a fae could have done something for me and I owe them in return. Am I reading this correctly?
Yep, you can do that. Maybe that fae cult you two sort of exposed, maybe they had something and you, for good or ill, handed over that to a rival fae, which give them leverage against their other rivals and so on. So means you missed out on having a magic item or whatever, but people will come looking for that anyway. So yeah, yep. No, hang on.
I feel like
you're under a debt, which. Oh, so you've given your service. Oh, okay. Well,
that's what I was saying. Like, maybe like I don't know, maybe I got shot in a face, saved my life or something like that. Or, they pulled me out of a bad situation, or they like tipped a deal just so that it went just in my favor as opposed to going really, really badly. I'm open to ideas about it, but I kind of like the idea that it may not be a lifelong debt, but it is certainly something that can come up and play because it has not been adequately settled.
Yeah. Because it's Faye, I would think it's Aislin's mother, i.e. the Queen, other way of keeping Aislinn in check because she knows you hang around each other. Because that's a sort of contrived shit that Faye do.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't think I've forgiven you for making that deal. Like, I get that it was kind of, you were in a really bad spot at the time, but I think like Aisling has a fairly cast iron rule of like.
I see what you did there. Cast iron. I see that. I see what you did there.
But why my mum? Why my mum? You could have been hundreds of Faye. Why my mum?
I've just realised I've gone quite a long way to making the main character from the Left-Handed Booksellers of London.
That's all right.
It's a great book.
Okay. So yeah, that all works. Okay.
And then what do we do with the specialty if we like select? Oh, you know what? I see that Bodhi already has 3 in lore. So
the specialty I went for was an awareness-based specialty rather than a lore-based specialty.
Where do we note that stuff?
Yeah, good question. Probably, yeah, under specialties, just under the skill section, there's skill cap and specialties. Just put it there. Okay. Yeah, lore is specifically supernatural, lore of supernatural creatures.
Yeah. Is that also magic, or does that fall under something else?
Yep. Nope. Okay. That's all under the one thing.
Oh, one thing I wanted to ask is, do we have day jobs, or is this our full-time pursuit?
It's up to you.
Bucket?
I think this is my day job. Mm-hmm. I mean, with this many tattoos, it's not as though I can just like, go work in a market or something.
I think that I'm a part-time kind of, I want to say paramedic, but not so, like, I mean, in the States it would be EMT, but I don't know if there's an equivalent in the UK, but whatever I guess there is.
I thought you were in the UK.
I've never come across the term in the UK.
Isn't it just emergency services?
Yeah, there is a UK role of EMT actually. So yeah, I think like I'm I 3 nights a week or whatever, I'm like on an ambulance and helping people, and that's hence my 2 in medicine. I think 3 would make me a doctor, but 2 EMT.
Yep, that's right.
Where do we find out more about the specialties?
Oh, there's just a list of them. There's not. They don't really flesh them out per se. Like for athletics, it says specialties: climb, dodge, feats of strength, run, swim. It doesn't give you any more information than that.
So, what mechanical advantage does a specialty give us?
Oh, you get +2. So in that case, when you do your 2d6, instead of adding 3, you're adding 5, which is gross mechanically generally needed. It's okay. That's the rest of it. We can sort of do as we're going. Okay, so it is autumn, which is September. So it's chilly nights, and there's actually snow on cold nights in Oxford. Okay. But it won't be night yet. We'll say it's lunchtime. Now, we'll say, it's about 10-ish. We'll say mid-morning, stuff like. Okay. You're having a chat with a client on the top floor of a double-decker bus. His name is Augustus Gilbert. He's about 40. He's got a pipe and a pocket watch. And he's telling you there's been some weird sort of magic things happening around Oxford, and he'd like you to check it out.
Well, what kind of weird things?
People being threatened and then odd things happening. And so the people they're not just scared for their life, they're scared of whatever the hell just happened. So it's like thugs are using magic to scare the shit out of people. That's what it looks like, but it may be. They may just be doing some David Copperfield shit. Who knows? But yeah, he thinks it might be more than that, and he's happy to pay for you two to have a squiz.
Are these thugs stealing things, or are they just scaring people?
It doesn't look like they're taking items or anything, but the people are very scared.
Do you have? Do you kind of how? I think I asked Augustus how he knows the people that this has happened to, kind of what his connection is there.
Oh, there's a lot of rumours around town, and he lives in town, but he's busy. He's got stuff to do rather.
So, if these are just rumors around town, why do you care?
Because I live in town. I don't want my backyard to become a cesspit of crime or dodgy magic.
Yeah, but this doesn't really affect you. I mean, you're not getting robbed. You're saying this is happening to people you don't even know.
Mm-hmm. I'm a concerned citizen. I have the means to make sure this doesn't escalate. In return for your efforts, you'll be given £1,000 each, which is a fair bit in 1970, and an interview for membership to the Order of Merlin, should you be interested, which is like an ancient, traditional, rich boys club of magicians who have good stuff but kind of look down on people. He's not saying that. That's just what you've heard.
Yeah.
You may or may not be interested in that, but yeah, that's what he's offering.
I kind of mouth surreptitiously to John, kind of, that's his angle. They're all interfering busybodies. Kind of, I think all I get out is kind of, interfering busybody kind of pointing at him.
Is there any kind of read a person or read a sitch skill in this?
I think that would be awareness. So, yeah, roll 2d6 and add your awareness. Well, hang on. Would that be empathy? Let me just check that.
Well, and I'm wondering, could I use Streetwise for it since I have information gathering as a specialty? Because I'm suspicious of this. This
Streetwise is more
smell
talking
right.
to a bunch of people around the thing. Empathy. Yeah, this would be empathy. You're sensitive to other people. You can tell what someone wants, whether they're uncomfortable in conversation or hiding something. Yep.
Okay.
Your law skill means you've heard of the Order of Merlin. They're conservative, good old boys with a big magical library, but elitist.
I'm wondering if Investigator does anything with this. +2 bonus to empathy test to tell when someone is lying or hiding something. And I haven't actually spent all my points, I don't think. Yeah, I haven't, so I'll just crank that up to 2. I'll figure out the rest of my stats in a second. And rolling 2d6. I hate roll for your party. They still haven't fixed that reroll bug.
Yeah. Oh.
So
Mendel's
that was 3 on the dice, +2 from empathy, and +2 from investigator. So that gets me to 7.
Okay, so 7. Yeah, you're not sure. You think he's a bit of a snob, but he's not sort of hiding anything. All right. Howdy, Mendel.
Hello. Sorry for not being here on time.
That's
I
right.
didn't realize I was off the wait list. So.
All right. Do you need any of the links? So you got them all?
Yeah, I got all the links, and I have my copy of the core book next to me. So I wasn't sure what's.
Cool.
I suppose I'm starting to make a character. Right?
All right. So basically, looks like they've set up a private investigator sort of business. Have you played Liminal before, or?
I have not played Liminal before, but private investigator is definitely something I have role-playing experience around. So yes.
You don't have to be one. That's just what their sort of business.
That's what their business is. So I guess the question is are we playing all members of one crew? Then
yes, that's generally how Liminal is done.
Okay.
So they've got, and their sort of previous mission was investigating a cult where the cult was worshipping a fae who was masquerading as a demigod sort of thing.
Okay, got it. It looks like we've got a changeling and a human investigator, basically.
Yep.
Okay. So,
Pocket and Bodhi, if you want to grab a drink, have a quick toilet break while he whips a character up or whatever, now's probably a good time. Might as well spend. Or you can.
Yeah, I'm good to stay, but I may kind of be doing stuff in the background.
No worries.
One more quick question for you on stats.
Yes.
When we take a specialty, we have to spend another point to get that specialty, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Then I've got my math done right for once.
That's right. Okay. It's not the best character sheet. It's the best I can do, but I'm not. Yeah, I'm not Garrett. All right. It's okay. So Mendel. It's like Rivers of London or Harry Dresden. There's vampires, werewolves, magicians in their hidden secret world that most of the public don't know about. In this case, we're set in 1970s Oxford.
I mean, my inclination would be to either take on the scholarly side, either the Eldritch Scholar or Academic Wizard, or to do something, pretty off-type in terms of that, and like either a knight or a werewolf. Is there a preference between those two sides of things?
I kind of think the other two have academics and wizard covered already.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure where the focus was with the. Okay, so then.
You go the werewolf. That'll be different.
Sure. Does it have to be a wolf?
No.
Okay.
No, it could be a fox or a badger. It's all very English.
A werebadger. Okay, that is. I have not yet played one, but I desperately need to. So.
Yeah, or a cat.
Hmm?
Yep. A cat, like a little wildcat sort of
Oh,
thing.
but who hasn't played a werecat, right? So, werebadger is definitely appealing to me greatly. So,
Bucket just said were squirrel in chat.
I've done that. You play a lot of characters when you run a lot of games. So,
yeah.
Okay, so I guess I'm blue.
Yes, in this case.
Don't do that. Why are you okay? Oh, do I not have edits?
Hey? Oh, hang on.
You might have done what I did and be tried to edit the preview rather than opening.
Yes. Okay, that's entirely possible. Open with Google Sheets. Yes. There we go. Much better. All right.
Where badger? Excellent. All right.
Okay. And my preference is, as always, to right. There will be more to the concept than that, obviously, because
No worries. Yeah, your drive is, why do you do this? Why do you interact with the secret world and the thing? And what's your personal thing? Could be to meet other were creatures. You want to find someone like you. Looking for love. Or it could be you want to fight the vampires because they killed your parents, and in Crime Alley or whatever. It's up to you. You're Batman / Badger Man.
right.
I am vengeance.
So my dice card draw gives me a name starting with an H and a female character. So I'm going to do that. And H. Let's get another letter. Are you at all familiar with dice cards?
Nope.
Okay. They're basically these cards that have a ton of different dice and randomizers on it, like Scrabble tiles, and it's like 30 different randomizers in one. It's nice to sort of play around with that. Okay. Yeah. So it keeps me honest about the gender of my characters. So.
Okay.
Is there? How does that go? There's nothing more authentically English than a foreign name. That's from Ipcris files, if I recall. Okay, so what's a good drive? I'm assuming the implication is that I'm part of the either a hanger-on to the crew or or part of the private investigator.
Yes, yeah. You all know each other. You worked with each other before, and in this case, you dealt with a fae that was pretending to be a demigod, and you sort of got rid of that cult. But I mean, you can go for more links. You could say one of the others is your cousin or whatever if you want, or maybe you went to the same school together, or maybe you met during the last investigation. That's up to you three.
Well, and that is always a possibility that they could have sort of adopted me from said cult, right? Although that implies, is that a kind of relationship that people want, or in which case I'd be playing her a little younger, presumably, or I could be. I mean, as a werebadger, I could presumably be, an enforcer to some extent, like a the breaking out the claws when trouble cometh.
Yeah, that all sounds good. I mean, we're both late 20s, kind of late 20s / early 30s, so that's just for.
Oh, I mean,
reference.
Yeah, it would be early. Yeah, so I just put her at early 20s. Like, I wouldn't say that like you've adopted her as your ward or anything, but it's more like maybe Haley is how you found out about some of the details of the cult and were able to help. Like, as in, she started out being like a turnable member of the cult who ended up being right.
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
Disillusioned cultist. Erzat's investigator, Erzat's detective. Okay. So I think her drive is to find her place in lycanthropic society. No, I think she doesn't actually know pretty much anything about it. She was probably like, we can do the whole thing where she was like, she was adopted, as it were. So she doesn't know where her lycanthropy came from, or for whatever reason, right? She doesn't know how she became a lycanthrope. It's not like she was raised as one.
Yep.
Thing that happened.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think that's a nice point of commonality, because that's kind of how Aisling kind of started off, not knowing anything about her changeling nature, and kind of probably a bit further along that route of kind of like finding out how she fits in.
So there's a bit of right. So there's a common thread there.
Just a sec.
Sounds good.
Sorry about that. I needed a quick bio break. What did I miss?
So I am playing Haley Gersik, who is she/her, a werebadger, disillusioned cultist from the cult that you broke up, and now Erzat's detective trying to find her place in lycanthropic society.
Yeah. That. God, what is it like the? Human-centric world. Yeah, trying to fit it in as a werebadger would be tough. So, are you actually part of the detective agency that we still have yet to name?
I think depending on how formal or informal it is, whether. So she's in her early 20s. So she's like looking for work, and maybe you gave her a job. Maybe she's not like a full member, but yeah, like definitely. But presumably not just the person who fetches coffee, as it were.
Yeah. Oh, I was thinking that you could answer phones as well.
Yes. Well,
But like maybe something. Because I'm thinking it might be one of those things where we all kind of rotate answering phones, but maybe you handle that stuff maybe a little bit more than we do. But because you're a were badger, there's things that you can do that we can't.
Right.
So it, kind of fits in that way. So I think, Aisling, do you and I own the building jointly?
Yeah, I think that. Yeah, I think that feels good. I was going to say no that you own it, but I kind of actually want to get away from kind of the Ron he/him character being the Ron owning property. So yeah,
Right.
I think we own it jointly.
Ooh. So I'm sorry. It's Mendel, correct?
Mendel, yes.
Okay. Did Bodie or Blake mention the shop downstairs?
Not yet.
Okay.
Sorry, it's just funny that he's shown up as anonymous badger in the Excel sheet.
Oh, have I? Okay. Was that before you suggested Badger?
No.
Okay. Oh, it's anonymous beaver, but still pretty darn close.
So here's a random thought. Okay.
Yes.
What if you work the counter at the store during the day and you're basically like our early warning system?
Okay. Like maybe
does-
you got me a job working the counter. What is the store?
Just like a 7-Eleven convenience store in the 70s.
Okay. Got it. Yeah.
You can get a pack of like a packet of cigs. You can get candy, tobacco, newspaper. You can probably buy like some booze behind the counter, but it's kind of a place where there's like, you get a 4-pack of toilet paper, maybe individually wrapped rolls. It's the kind of place you go when you need something right now, but you don't want to go to the store for it.
Got it. And I think that right. And yeah, well, I am now trying to remember what era we're in because I know it's
1970 Oxford.
Yeah.
okay.
So
Yeah,
just
so
finished the
definitely.
60s.
So right.
So
and is
record
there? I
players,
guess that's
phone
another
booths.
question. So is this does this store cater to the student or to students, or is this in another part of Oxford, further from the university?
There'll definitely be some student and educational population, some artists as well.
So there you go.
Okay. No, that sounds good. So I'm trying to think of what skill is appropriate for doing customer service.
Maybe empathy, just a one will do. It's just basic stuff. You're not there to.
Yeah.
Somebody put 2 streetwise on. Is that intent? Does that belong on someone?
No,
else's
you can
sheet?
take that off if
Or
you
is
want.
that-
That's up to you.
Oh, okay. I'm not
Yes.
necessarily going to do so. If somebody had that on their sheet and their points are off, I just wanted to let them know.
Yeah. If you're in a cult,
Yeah.
you
No, 2
probably
streetwise
wouldn't
is
have that
probably
much streetwise. But
I think I
Oh, okay,
accidentally added
fair.
that there. But I think
Right,
mine add up now. So I think it was
And
kind
I
of
was
at
just
the
letting
start
you
I
know. So
did it wrong.
And I, for one, maybe we got you the job that like down there, but I, for one, absolutely do not care if you are kind and charming to customers or if you are rude and surly. If you want to play up the badger part of the were badger personality and like be grumpy behind the counter, I'm totally okay with that.
I mean,
So I
this
like the
is-
idea that I'm not. You know what? I do. Yeah. So I like the idea that I'm not personable behind the counter, but I'm definitely good at anticipating the customer's needs. If that makes sense.
I mean, this
So it's like
this is the UK. There's a very fine tradition of surly kind of
Right.
begrudging service.
no. There's a reason why I'm taking taunt instead of charm now. Um, but I'm still going to keep the empathy there because I think that that it's a matter of insulting the customer and making sure that they have the right brand of toilet paper. Although
Okay.
loo roll,
So
yes, that's the
we'll
right term for it. Okay.
Flashback to the recruitment scene. It was on top of a double-decker bus mid-morning. In this case, there's 3 of you there. You're chatting to a guy in his 40s with a pocket watch and... Shit, what else did he have? Pipe. Yeah, he's got a pipe. He's well-dressed. And, yeah, so he's basically saying, there's been some possible magical things going off and people being threatened in the area. And sort of thugs trying to muscle in on the Oxford sort of central area. And, yeah, here's $1,000 each and a possible interview at the end of it if it all goes well for the Order of Merlin. Have a look at what's going on. Do you accept his offer, or not interested, or?
Ashling, for one, is very happy to take his money.
I'll take the money, but I don't trust this guy.
Oh, that's fine. You don't have to.
Neither do I. I think take his money, do as much investigating of him as anything else.
Yeah, that's fine. All right. So you get off at the next bus stop, and he tips his hat. Now we'll meet back in a week. He fishes around. He pulls out a card and call this if you have information before that time. And he strides off down the street, thinking he's done his civic duty and made the world a better place.
I mutter something about kind of holier than thou interfering wizards.
All right. So, the 3 of you are there on top of the bus, unless you've gotten off. What are you doing?
So, which direction is the bus going? Is it?
I think this is probably some circular one that just does laps around the general area.
Yeah. So I mean, for me, I'd kind of naturally start with some. I think maybe walking around on the street, kind of seeing if we kind of pick up any. For me, if I try to think if we have anything that will let us pick up if there's any kind of weird occult shit going down.
I mean, we're both pretty clued into the occult.
All right.
I mean, I feel like that's a simple role.
All right. So you're going around looking for stuff? Or are you talking to people? Or are you going to use one of your abilities or something? What are you actually doing?
I think we've been kicking around this area long enough to know where the people who think they're approaching something adjacent to hot shit hang out. The kind of people who might be either getting into this or know the people who are. So, what do you think that is? Do you think that's an investigate role of some kind?
That's streetwise.
Okay, so streetwise, I think, does that trigger information gathering?
Yes. Yeah, it wouldn't.
And then does that also trigger investigator?
Well, it'll be one or the other.
Okay, so I can't use both information gathering and the investigator trait? Caps out at what, +5 instead of +7?
But I mean, it's +5 and 2d6 is already huge anyway. Yeah.
All right. So I'll roll in 2d6. It's a 7 on the dice. So that gets me to a 12.
Yep. Yeah. So you, what are you actually looking for? Just anything weird, or?
I'm looking for anything weird or anyone who knows about anything weird or has seen or heard about anything weird. Any lead I can come up with.
Yep. Okay. So, several businesses have been threatened by thugs, and weird things happen when they're threatened, like, or everything goes dark, or everything goes bright light, like they're staring at the sun suddenly, or whatever. And it's like the thugs will wink at them, and then, everything goes bright or everything goes dark. And, when the people are telling this, they're very scared. They're looking around, they're shaking a bit, and, you would have had to say to them, look, we're from around here, we're trying to help you, to sort of reassure them, because they're quite scared.
Well, we are those kind of around the way investigators. Can they describe the people who came in and threatened them? Age, weight, height, hair color.
Yep, they can. There were two, in their 20s, a male and a female. A couple of them are like, yeah, I'm sure there's a third one, but they can't describe the other person.
That sounds like somebody using magic.
Did you say that out loud?
No, I'm thinking that.
No. Yeah. There was like a male and a female in their 20s. They looked at each other a lot, so they, if they're not a couple, they're cousins or something. They know each other. They're obviously quite familiar with each other, but I just can't remember the third person. That's weird. And yeah, each of the three businesses you talked to had the same thing. They're all Anglo-Caucasian, whatever you want to call it.
Did they use any names?
Sorry, that dropped out there, Bodie.
Oh yeah, I have. I think I have out, as we're going around these businesses that were affected, I have out a pocket map of Oxford, and I'm kind of plotting the locations and kind of seeing. I want to see if there's any pattern to these locations that were targeted.
They're all in the central area, but it's not like an occult symbol there or an astrological sign or anything. They're just all in the middle of town, pretty much. Back in a sec.
Sure.
Good idea to try to plot it on a map. See if it forms a sigil or something.
Yeah.
Not too much to go on with just 3 places, but kind of.
It might be proximity to some place of interest as well. Someone has geomancy, right?
I have geomancy indeed.
So you might be able to locate something even if it isn't a magical sigil.
One other thing. Since I'm versed in ward magic, I'd like to try to use that to protect each of the places that have had somebody try to mess with them.
It'd probably take sort of 10 minutes at each side, which it's doable, but what are you actually telling the people you're doing?
Well, honestly, I'm just trying to make it look like I'm looking around for clues.
Okay.
Like, maybe they dropped something,
Maybe
just like-
I'm doing some misdirection while this is going on, kind of keeping them kind of tied up in conversation and about this, so that they're not looking too closely at what you're doing. Maybe this is a routine that we've pulled before.
You've got silver tongue, so I'm not going to even make you roll. That's fine. You can do that.
You are the charming empathic one.
Okay, while she's doing that, he's doing that. Haley, what are you doing?
Yeah, I'm trying to get a read on these folks. Sort of just watch how they were, especially if they were trying to think of that third person, how they were responding. Like, did it seem like
they're all scared?
Like it was causing them unsettlement? Like as though I'm trying to get a sense for, is there some magical effect causing them not to think of it, or is it they are able to think of it, but the thought of it is terrifying, so their mind is like sliding over it? Like, is there an active magic, or is this the result of something happening?
This is a result of something happening.
So there's there's nothing to dispel here.
No.
Okay.
They're all scared, and they all paid money. It looks like it's you actually come across a protection racket, and all of them, you see their brows crease. They're trying to. What did that other one look like? And none of them could.
I guess what I'm trying to, would that be consistent with something like a glamour? Since I'm sure I've been affected by glamour a fair bit.
Yes and yes.
Okay, so it feels like something similar to that. Then.
Yes.
Okay.
Just going on kind of generally how the Fae are portrayed, this feels like the protection racket feels like quite an unfair thing. It kind of feels too direct for them. Would that be the case in this? I can roll law if I want to kind of if you want me to kind of see what I know about the various schemes that the Fae get up to.
No, you would know that there's all sorts of Fae. They do all sorts of stuff. They don't really have a usual tactic.
Yeah.
They might take it. Some of them would even take advantage of the situation if someone else is doing it.
So my mind is going Fae, but then kind of this is Aisling. Aisling's mind's kind of quite prone to going Fae.
Yeah, she always thinks they're Fae. There's a blame for everything. Ozone layer. Well, actually, you don't even know about ozone layer yet. Okay. Ward magic. So you don't have any points in conviction, so you've just got to roll 2d6 plus law for your wards.
It's a 13.
Okay. So you've used 6 of your will points because you did 3 places. So yeah, you did really well. They're warded.
Where do I jot down will points?
Under limitation, there's endurance and will. So 8 plus conviction, so just 8 in your case. So you've used 6 of your 8.
Okay.
So you've used a fair bit of your daily magic sort of thing.
Gotcha.
But you've successfully warded 3 different places. I think none of you have the sight, do you? Nope. Okay. Okay, so it's now, mid-afternoon.
So I'm thinking of Aisling's next step would be back to the office and kind of drawing up correlations and kind of seeing, like, if it's not a geographic link between is there a link between the owners? Is that, like, I'm getting I think I'm getting the kind of like the string and pins out and kind of putting up
Well, it might be a
kind of
blackboard and chalk or
classic
something.
pinboard.
Yeah. Okay. Do people need a bio break? Are you all good? Or
I could use a couple of minutes to stretch.
yep. All right. Would you say 5 minutes?
Yep.
All right. Cool. No,
That's fun.
See you soon.
By the way, Blake, since the specialty I had for Streetwise was redundant with the investigator skill, I removed it and put a point into business. I hope that's okay. You're muted.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. I just wanted to double check because I didn't realize that it would be redundant when I put it on there. So.
Yeah. Okay, no worries. So, are you going back to base and sort of chat?
Do we have dates of? I presume we do have dates of when these businesses were threatened. Was it all on one time, or was it regularly spaced? I'm trying to like see if we can predict when the next one's going to be.
Okay, they've all been in the last week. They've all been kind of mid-afternoon.
So broad September. So is this? So this is still going to be kind of daylight sort of things rather than nighttime. Interesting.
Yes.
Are the businesses?
I think.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh no! I wasn't sure what I was going to say. So go ahead.
Are the businesses spaced an equal distance apart? With the plotting, is it going in a circle? Is it forming any kind of geometric shape that we can see?
No, they're just all roughly, in central Oxford.
I was hoping we might be able to look at the map and at least get a rough idea of where they might try to hit next. What are the businesses?
Yeah, are they all? Yeah,
they're all retail. Like one's a bookstore, one's like a deli, one's a tailor shop.
Okay.
But they're all, none of them are banks. They're all people that have cash, only, 1 to 2 staff sort of thing. Small businesses.
We do have a description of 2 of the 3 people, right?
Sort of early 20s, male and female. Seem familiar with each other because they looked at each other's faces a lot. No idea about the third person other than they're sure someone else was there.
Right. Did they say which of them was sort of speaking for the trio? Like who was sort of acting like they were in charge?
The younger 2 kept talking. They both sort of talked.
Okay, so they talked. They like back and forth talked, and then the third figure who they cannot recall was like behind them, as it were.
Yep.
Okay.
Is there a society of hedge witches around by any chance? I mean, I know we have the Society of Merlin, which is like the hoity-toity witchcraft and sorcery and wizardry.
Yep.
But since we know gutter witches exist in this world, is there a bar that they hang out at? Is there a place that they go to? Do they have any kind of group gatherings?
That would be a law roll.
Okay.
I'm happy to make. Should I make that roll if you're kind of asking me, or actually it's something that you would know as well? So
well, the thing is,
you can make it with a +2 because he's helping you. So you're kind of chatting it while you've got your blackboard and you're writing up arrows and stuff. And so you made it with a +2 because you're all kind of chucking ideas around.
So there we go. So that's a +5 altogether. So that's that's Wolf Snake Eyes has got a 7.
Okay, which is only you only failed by 1. So you're not sure. They certainly don't advertise or hand out leaflets or anything. Not that you're aware of. But that's just from what you've found out so far. You haven't gone out to pubs and asked around or anything yet. You've gone by existing knowledge, I guess is what I'm saying.
Can I use empathy and the description we're getting of those that couple to like try to guess where they might hang out in town?
Oh,
I have assessed personality as my specialty, so.
Well, in that case, yes, you can.
Okay. All right. Let's give this a shot. Do you think I would know how to use this? Okay. 2d6, right? Okay.
Yep.
So I think that I have a +5 on this. From 3 plus 2 from the specialty.
Yep.
So that's a 9.
9. So, yep.
Okay. Well, I see I can add modifiers too. All right.
All three of the victims were talking about how the young two would keep looking at each other's faces, which is a couple thing to do. Cousins and brothers and sisters don't do that. Mm-hmm. So, all of them are pretty close to the river, so they probably go for strolls along the river or eat, get a thing of fish and chips and eat by the river sort of thing. Because they seem like they're trying to dress nice, but they're probably from poorer background.
Okay, so that sounds. So then, go along the river and start asking. I guess I'm going to suggest that we go along the river and start asking, if any, if this couple sounds familiar to any of the shopkeepers or vendors along the river. Does that sound like a plan? You can't see my
and maybe
my eager hesitation here. That I'm not the expert investigator. I'm just throwing an idea out there.
Yeah, it sounds like a plan, and maybe kind of see whether any people have noticed someone that
who wasn't quite there.
Yeah, but trouble is people tend to forget.
I think through that conversation, and I'm just going. So the important thing is, I need to know if there's anything that you know but you don't know.
The known unknowns. What do we know we're missing?
Right. Is there anybody you saw but you didn't really see?
I can tell you what I'm missing right now.
Mm-hmm.
A pint of the dark stuff.
Well, I am sure that there is more than one Riverside pub.
There's quite a few.
So if you want to expense it as a pub crawl, that is entirely your say so.
I think we should consider it investigation, and of course we're going to get more out of the bartenders if we're actually ordering and tipping. So,
right, and did we get a pay rate that involves expenses from this guy?
Well, he just said a grand each, which is
okay.
So 1970.
So we'll have to figure that out. I don't do the taxes, so I'm sure you know what you're doing.
Because the fuel for geomancy is Guinness. Okay, so are you going to the pubs or are you going down to the river?
Oh, there are no rivers. Are there no pubs on the river?
Oh, there's some nearby, and it's one of the big tributaries to the Thames.
So I figured.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, I think Riverside pub crawl, chatting to the chatting to the bartenders, seeing kind of like if there's this odd group of three kind of been in or hanging around.
Or even just the two, like describing those two and seeing if they recognize the couple, because the couple might not always be with the, the
other one,
the invisible third. Mm-hmm.
So are you all talking to bartenders, or just one of you, or?
Well, I'm going to be talking to the non-bartenders along the way, like the fish and chips vendor, or if there's like I'm not sure there'd be that much in the way of cafes at this point, but probably there would be. They're students. Yeah. Like I'm sure there's like a student coffee shop on the river somewhere.
Yeah.
So those kinds of
there is a
folks.
fair bit of artists and students sort of quota at the minute, so there'd probably be like a pseudo French cafe, definitely in the 70s. Okay. You chat to them, and
I'm going to have I'm going to be asking in my slightly. The mode of my asking is going to be, I'm going to be a little annoying, and you're going to want to tell me the answer so I get out of your hair. And yeah, you're not quite sure where that smell is coming from, but it'll be okay. It'll go when I go. Yeah, apparently badgers musk, so that's why I took the frightening trait.
okay.
Yeah, more so than Berserker Rage, which is apparently what they're doing for D&D. So.
Yeah, okay. I mean, they're not skunks, but yeah. All right.
Right, they're not skunks, but they musk and attack, not just attack and flee. They're not just musk and flee, as it were.
Reminds me of high school. Okay, so but chat to the fish and chip vendor and stuff, and they've, there's a few couples like that come by sometimes in the evening. Generally, take the chips down to the river. I mean, early 20s Anglo couple. Yeah, there's plenty of them around here. There's 3 they can think of that are regulars. One of the cafe, the pseudo French one's like, yeah, I know who you're talking about. And they sort of describe the height and the way they're dressed, and they're sort of in nice clothes that are second hand. They don't know how to wear them because they don't quite fit. Yeah, but they come by every second night.
Yeah, and I'll probably say because they she dropped a purse, and I mean there wasn't money in it, but I still want to get it back to her. So which is it? Would it be like tonight or tomorrow night?
It'll be tomorrow night.
Okay, thank you.
So I feel like maybe see what you feel about this bucket, but maybe you come back to find Aisling and John kind of going through the pubs, having found nothing out, but having had a very good time of it.
We did extensive research.
I mean, I am sure that as the true professionals here, you have undoubtedly acquired all this information, but you're testing me first. So I will tell you what I found out, and you can add whatever information that you want to that, or
The information I would add to that is, landlord, a pint of the dark stuff for this one.
I mean, yeah, I will certainly, I'm just was wary about, drinking on the job, right? I'm just
We're
not
investigators.
I'm not at that level of expertise, so I don't want to.
There's a certain amount of blending in because you are going in cafes and pubs in the evening.
I definitely brought fish and chips, and I got a coffee, but I didn't go into the pubs because that's, I mean, my compatriots were doing that, so I did not feel compelled to drink at the time.
You're so young. Drinking is half the job.
Half? My dear Aisling, there is a reason why we keep Jamesons at the office.
I raise my glass to that.
Okay. So, yeah, it's now, dinner time. You've had fish and chips or whatever you grabbed at cafes along the way. You've had quite a few Guinness or whatever dark stouts you choose.
Yes.
It's now like 9 at night. Some of the pubs are closing. Well, yeah, some of the restaurants that are also pubs are closing. The ones that are just pubs will still be open.
I mean, so did we want to try to see if they come out tonight, or did you want to just plan to come back to the coffee shop tomorrow?
And it feels like a cut to us kind of sitting in the coffee shop tomorrow might be kind of the quickest way to move on with this.
I mean, it would be. But wouldn't you also like to get dinner to soak up some of the investigation?
So you're having
Yeah,
your dinner.
let's do that.
There's probably shepherd's pie, or there'd be Irish stew. What else is there? You can get like a lamb roast.
So if we're doing if we're eating at a pub, as it were.
Yep.
Presumably.
It's fish and chips,
does
of course.
facilitate the drinking. Right. If we went to a curry shop, there'd be fewer drinking options.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess how long has it been since the cult incident where we took on
Probably a couple of
Haley?
months.
Okay. So I think I'm kind of chatting with Haley to see how she's settling in, kind of like kind of seeing what you feel about like all this, about kind of the working in the shop and working with us and all of that.
I do kind of like working at the shop. It's interesting to sort of watch the different ways that people will go through the aisles and select their loo roll or snacks, and to try to figure them out and to try to determine which ones might be a threat and which ones might not be. Mm-hmm. I am glad though that we have a case. I was kind of wondering when the next one would happen.
Yeah, you and me both. It's been a bit quiet since all that excitement a couple of months ago.
Speaking of,
You probably had some mundane stuff like find my missing cat,
right.
find out where my devious husband's gone to, but nothing magical.
Right. You're taking pictures and finding lost objects.
But on the bright side of things, I was really glad to do that job for the kid who walked in concerned about our missing kitty. And I mean, how could we not take that job when she offered to pay us in sweets? Like, she was ready to spend her allowance to buy us candy because that was what she thought she had to barter.
Mm-hmm. I mean, and we didn't even run out of wine gums for a week.
I can't believe that you actually let her buy you candy.
Hey,
that was low, John. That was low.
I let her buy me a pack of gum. That's all. I didn't take her full allowance, and we got the cat back safe. But honestly, has there been a case that we've had that made you feel better than that one?
You have a point. You do have a point.
I know. It's nice to have no moral ambiguity.
But
Exactly.
the cat had been down in the drains and stuff. It was filthy. That was a skanky cat by the time we got it back. It really needed a bath.
I'm pretty sure odds are high. So did I when I because I'm pretty sure it was the intern's job to get the cat.
I think that we relied upon your sense of smell. Like you.
I'm also good with animals, so that doesn't hurt.
Yeah, but
yes.
So while you're chatting away, there's a person the next table over. It's an older guy. He starts coughing and gets cough, and he spits out a toad into his drink. Haley, you smell something from your past. What is it?
I can't. I can't believe that you actually let her buy you candy.
So probably a metallic taste mixed with a sort of a turpentine feel to it. Like you're smelling something that you would normally be like, literally biting onto a chain link fence.
Yeah.
Like it's in a way that normally metallic isn't a smell, but this is.
Yeah.
And it has
How does that
cloying-
remind you of the past, though?
You know what? I think that I smelled that last when right before I guess I don't even know right before the Fey cult leader suddenly had everybody move to a different temple location.
Did they chain you up and you tried to bite the chain or something? Or
No. It was just something. It was like something was going on, and oh no, okay. It wasn't like I didn't know what, but suddenly they got very concerned, and they wanted to move us.
okay.
They wanted to move the cult. So I wonder if it was some other magic, not the glamour, but somebody doing something to drive. I don't know anything about. Did we establish anything about the cult leader?
No, it was a Fae pretending to be a demigod.
Right, like I don't male, female, androgynous.
Well, they're Fae, so they're kind of both at the same time.
Oh, okay. Okay, fair enough. So, but all right. So they basically, whatever was going on frightened them, and
They had to move quickly, and that's when you smell that smell.
right. So it was like somebody else was doing something on that temple at the time,
And they hit the panic button and moved base.
right?
Yep.
Like this would be like literally in the next 20 minutes, we were all out of there.
Okay.
So my inkling is it's some kind of sense of hostile magic, but it's like that. Yeah.
Yeah, Aisling. You have the feeling you're being watched.
I look around, kind of fading that I'm looking to find where the bathroom is, and and I'm actually looking for someone watching me using my that would be awareness and search, I presume.
Yeah.
So looking to see if I can identify where that particular feeling is coming from, and that would be that would be an 8 because roll for your party is doing its thing.
Okay. You can't see anything sort of around the restaurant, but then you look back to John, and there's actually haze around John, as if he's standing in a hot area. You have seen this before. That's what happens when people are scryed upon. So someone's watching into some sort of crystal ball or divining pool or whatever.
And I think I at this point I'm thinking discretion is the better part of valor, and I turn to John and go, time to go, and I'm putting an emphasis on it that as we've known each other long enough, kind of you'll know that like I'm being serious, but trying not to say why I'm being serious. And before we do go, I want to take a good look at that person who's was coughing up toads. So I'd recognize them if I see them again.
Since I have medicine as well as lore, I'd actually, when the gentleman starts coughing, I think I went over when I saw what he had coughed up, both medicine and lore kicked in because, it's like I know a little bit about first aid. I know quite a bit more about lore. Frogs are generally not good signs, particularly not when they're being coughed up by an otherwise healthy person and it's a living frog. So can I make a roll to see if I can find anything on this person as I'm like fading, trying to assist him like the Heimlich maneuver almost?
Yeah.
All right. And would that be a roll with lore or something else?
Yes, lore.
Okay. And then would investigator kick in at all? Or ward magic?
No investigator in that case.
Okay. So that is 8 on the dice plus 2 lore. And if you want to throw the investigator on, that's 12. So that's 10 plus.
Okay, so well and truly. So the body's sort of trying to fight off magic. It's like a side effect, and it's so his body's experiencing a side effect to the magic of scrying you.
Mm-hmm. So he's basically being used as a human camera, like a human surveillance device.
It's more that the one doing the spell and the target, you, don't want the side effect. So your internal resistance have both shoved it over to this poor schmuck sitting next to you.
Ah, the poor bastard. Can I do anything for him? Because I know this can't be pleasant.
No, he seems to have got it out. It's not like there's a chain of frogs coming out or anything. It's just a one.
All right. Well, I'll quickly scoop it up and put it in a coat pocket as Aisling says we need to go.
Yep. All right, so you hop out of there. I don't know if that dice room's...
go on, sorry.
Oh, I think that dice room's working. I'm not sure. Okay. All right. So it's late at night. It's cold. It's probably light snow.
So I'm trying to, without necessarily alerting the person that's scrying on us. I presume there's no way to kind of trace back scrying. Kind of, there's no way to get a handle on who is doing
not
it.
Really, no.
Okay.
And the haze around him seems to have stopped once he's got up and helped the guy with the frog.
Okay, so my urgency kind of disappears a little bit. The haze is gone, so I think I'm sharing in kind of hushed tones with the other two, kind of that what I saw and that we were being scryed on. So kind of like,
well, John was specifically, but yeah,
John was,
But you'd know enough to know they could hear your conversation.
Yeah,
because it is like a microphone sort of thing.
Yeah, and I think I'm going through and recording a notebook. Kind of, I don't think we actually said anything in particular to do with the investigation by recording exactly what we did say. So we kind of got a record of what they know.
Aisling, do you think that maybe that cat case wasn't as cut and dry as we thought it was?
I mean,
that's what we were talking about when they were scrying on it.
And you never know with cats.
I suppose not.
And I'm thinking back. So can I do a roll with lore to kind of see if I actually recollect anything kind of odd about that case now that Haley has has kind of raised that it might not all be as it seems. Kind of see if I remember anything weird. You're muted.
Are you heading back to the base, or are you staying near the restaurant, or going for a walk down by the river?
I think the way that I was picturing it is we're in the process of walking back to our base.
Okay.
I don't know if anyone else.
All right. So, yep. So roll your law.
Uh-huh. There we go. That is 13.
Okay. That cat was Faye. And basically, if anyone nearby it died, it could take their next life. So it would be like controlling that person for their next incarnation. But as in reference to you guys, no, it didn't have a problem. It seemed happy for your assistance. It had a, I'm not going to reveal your secrets if you're not going to reveal mine sort of thing, sort of Fey agreement with you. But yeah, it's not after you or anything.
Okay. So it was probably not responsible for scrying, nor was someone scrying about that. So perhaps perhaps the suspicious target of that was in fact John.
Yeah. This is because, these thugs use magic, or at least had some kind of magic about them. And then you guys did a ward on 3 places that they'd been to. So
right. And that he did. And that was John who did the ward.
Yes. So they could recognize his type of magic from the ward, and then right. So it appears that they have some arcane skill if they're doing that, rather than just having an item that makes them hard to identify.
Can I use geomancy to see what the surrounding area can tell us about them?
Sure. It takes a bit of time, but yeah, you can go back to your office and do that.
All right.
Let's have a look.
Go ahead and re-roll these.
And area tuned is no more than 10 kilometers across. So, yep, you can do the sort of central area.
Okay, so that is 2 on the dice. Or excuse me, not 2, but 4. It's 2 on each die. And 2 lore and 2 geomancy. So that gets me to an 8.
Okay. So, yep, you can sense, the ley lines flowing through the middle of town, sort of fairly parallel to the river. Their course is slightly affected by the wards you set up. And there seems to be like a little whirlpool off to the side where there's some gardens. You don't know what that is, but it does stand out.
Gardens, huh?
Now, you've pretty much spent all your willpower at this point.
Well, that's why I did it now, because it's late at night. And quite frankly, after the after the investigation and the food and, the wards, I probably need to hit the hay. So that's why I figured all right, so they targeted us here. It's the end of the day. I'm with somebody who's part Fae. And if need be, I can always punch. But this is why I was trying to see what the surrounding area can tell us about them, because the streets don't lie. They have memories. So do the windows.
Just roll a d6, John. Just you roll 1d6.
I might take the opportunity to turn into a badger and sniff around.
And that's a 4 on the die.
All right, so you get 4 back out of your 8 because you've been pursuing your drive. That's how you get will back.
Okay.
All right, so you're going into badger form and having a snuffle around, but not for truffles. Okay. So you're doing awareness, I guess. So you're looking for odd scents, odd smells.
Yeah. Let me roll.
Are you having like a quick look around your office, or you mean you're going out for a couple of hours and?
Oh, around where John's doing the ritual.
Okay. Yep. Can't smell anything odd there other than what, he's using for these geomancy.
Okay. Yeah, and that was just a 6 anyway.
Okay. Yeah, nothing sort of odd in that area. You certainly didn't get that metallic smell again, so you're probably comforted by that fact.
Yes.
Okay. All right, so you'll rest that night and get up the next day, I guess, or?
Yeah, perhaps we've agreed to meet at these gardens because like does that work for everyone?
Sure.
All right, so say mid-morning, you have a good rest, good breakfast.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And then
I'll probably open up the store that morning, so I'll meet you on my break.
do all the will points come back after resting, or is that just from the D6 roll?
Nope, just a D6, that's it.
Okay.
Let's get rid of too many screens up here.
By the way, just so I know when I can use it, how does counter magic work?
Anytime there's anything magical, like a magical effect from a spell or an area or an item, you just say you're doing it.
Okay. So, I think... Are these gardens public gardens?
Yeah, it's a botanical gardens.
So, I think I'm searching again for anything weird or out of place, just kind of generally that shouldn't be here.
Apart from Haley and Aisling, you mean?
Yes. Yeah.
All right. Yes, very nice botanical gardens. This is the spot where the whirlpool was and the ley lines and everything that John noticed in his geomancy. There is a wide variety of plants here that shouldn't normally be growing here. There's tropical and stuff, and they all seem fine. Because it's definitely not a tropical zone. And I'm going to say Haley picks up that scent again, that metallic scent. I don't know, maybe she bent down to pick up the smell of flower or something, and she actually got that scent off the ground.
Okay. I'm going to try to detect if it's coming from a certain direction, and I will sort of let I'll let John and Aisley know that something is going on. Can you tell? Is there scrying going on?
You can't see the haze around either of you. The scent is on the ground, so it looked like whoever was doing it has walked around this area a few times.
Okay.
They're not here right now, but yeah.
So I'm going to try to poke around and get and I'm not kind of caring if I'm bending over and acting very peculiar, to just try to sort of get a sense for which part of this area has been laden with the scent.
It looks like they've gone through the gardens as a way to get from like town to the river.
Okay.
But they've done it more than once.
Right.
Because there's one that's like a day old and then one that's like 5 days old.
And town is where the shops were, right?
Yep, yep.
Okay. So, are there people who live on the river? There's
Not
housing,
really.
Not really.
Not here. Here's more the nice part with picnic grounds and stuff.
I'm just wondering which trail I should follow.
I'd suggest, if you're asking this out loud,
yeah,
Aisling
absolutely.
would suggest towards the river, because we know the other end of the trail. That's the shops, and we want to find out. We want to track them back to their origin.
Okay. Yeah. So I'll attempt to sort of head down towards the river. I'm assuming that you two will be in tow. To try to figure out if I can follow the scent.
Yeah, I think Aisling will be bringing up the rear, kind of like watching for any tails.
Okay.
Is there any way to do an assist roll of some kind? You're muted.
On a roll, okay. You've got to have the same skill.
What is the skill for this? Awareness or
probably awareness. Because I'm pretty sure search comes under that. Yeah.
Right. If I shift to Badger form, I will probably be better at this.
Yeah.
So I will do that.
Bodhi, you have 3 awareness.
Mm-hmm.
So you could probably help.
Yeah, I am. What does that helping look like? I'm struggling. Maybe it looks like this is perhaps a little unconventional, but maybe it looks like me. Because a badger walking around Oxford in the middle of the day is going to be a very odd sight. Maybe
it is a garden part of Oxford, and they're a regular-sized badger. They're not like massive or anything.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
What I was thinking was there might be like little metallic flakes on some of the plants, and you're visually noticing what she's smelling.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So you're confirming what she's picking up and relaying it to John, and you're all sort of following the scent trail down to the river.
Yeah, sounds good.
So what does the assist translate to?
Basically, one person rolls, and anyone else with that skill gives them +2. They don't need to roll to assist; it's just automatic.
All right, so this will be at a +5 then.
And you can only do that with one person, correct? And we all have awareness, but Bodhi has it higher than any of us.
Yeah, but yeah, so you can both chuck in +2 each if you wish.
Okay,
I will happily chuck in +2.
+7.
As Lowell says, there's almost no way you can fail.
17.
Holy crap! Critical success.
Oh, sorry, not 17, 15. Not doing math right. Not that I suspect that makes a tremendous difference.
All right, so your critical success means you do the task subtly and without attracting attention. So no one seems to, they're all happily doing their picnics on the riverbank. They don't seem to give a rat's that a badger has wandered amongst them. They probably just think Aisling and John are a couple strolling by the river and they've got their pet badger with them.
Like you do.
Why not?
I mean, if it wasn't Oxford, I might think that was a little weird, but you know.
Yeah, I mean, Oxford's a student town. Crap like that probably happens all the time.
Mm-hmm. I mean, and also, you know, I'm sure that there's enough psychedelics around in the 70s that, you know.
Yeah.
People just assume just assume they're hallucinating if they think I'm a dog.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you follow the scent trail down to the river, or multiple scent trails down to the riverbank.
Mm-hmm. There's a young
couple there sort of standing back to back. They're in their 20s, a couple of Caucasians.
Mhm.
And they're both kind of rubbing their temples while looking in different directions. And we'll roll initiative. It's not something we get to say at the Gauntlet very often. So
Okay.
it's just roll a
What is
D6,
initiative in this game?
a D6 and add your awareness.
Ah,
Oh, sorry, it's 2D6 plus your awareness.
okay.
You just need to get over 8, otherwise the bad guys go first.
All right. And I'm assuming that I get to use my animal form awareness.
Yes.
I got a 9.
Okay, so you go before the bad guys?
Do we each need to roll?
Yes.
Okay.
I got a 13.
Oh. Super aware of what's going on.
I'm at a 9.
Okay, so you're all before the bad guys. So it looks like these two are about to do some magic. We'll go in order of initiative. So, Haley. Got 13,
Well,
did
the
you?
highest initiative I thought was John.
Okay, sorry.
13.
No. You had 13.
Ashling. Go
Oh,
ahead.
Aisling.
Yep.
Sorry,
All right, so
no,
Aisling, go
I
ahead.
knew I didn't. Sorry.
So, I think I hold off on counter magic. I wanna see what they do. So I think I'm getting myself into a position where I can watch them. I'm trying to like warn the others and get into a position where I can watch unobserved and intervene if
They both
need.
appear to be looking at families that are picnicking on the river.
Okay, that changes things a little bit. This seems potentially malicious now. So yeah, I go for counter magic.
Okay. It's just a law roll.
Okay, so
So it would be 8. 11 is the target number.
11 is the target number, and that's at +3 with my law, right? And counter magic just means that I can do it, not
Yeah,
that I get
you can-
any.
Yeah, if you get it, it's gone.
Can we assist?
Okay.
Not really.
That is a. Actually, no. Didn't this one re-rolled? But this one didn't. It seems. So I'll re-roll that one myself manually. Oh well, that stayed the same both times, which is odd. But they both made the re-rolling animation, so that is a 13.
Okay, so we going with the male or the females?
Which I'm going to trolley problem this. Which one is looking at the biggest family?
The male.
Okay, I'm targeting the male with counter magic.
Okay, so he's going to do his spell, but you've just sucked all the juice out of it. Basically, you cut the connection to wherever he's getting it from, and it's just going to fizzle. Okay, we'll go with. I think John was next.
Since Aisling is our counter magic specialist and subtle, one of the reasons why we work well together is that we tend to complement each other. What one lacks, the other has. Which is why I walked directly up to them with a packet of cigarettes out and one in my mouth, saying, "Excuse me, do you have a light?"
All right.
And at the very least, I want to get into melee distance or melee range.
Yep, you're in melee range. The female sort of glances towards you while she's doing her spell. The hand on her temple.
I'll just
Haley
kinda
a chance.
stumble and bump into him, maybe.
Yep. Okay. Haley, you going to do anything while he's closing the distance?
I'm going to walk. I'm going to sort of stay next to him so that I'm right there.
Okay, so you're both walking over.
And I'm preparing a musk.
There's a sentence you don't get to say every day. All right. So GM doesn't normally roll, but I'll roll in this case. I've selected them. So how do I re-roll this damn thing?
I just pasted a link for a text room into chat, and usually that works a little bit better.
Okay. Yep.
That also preserves the roles in text form so you can see who got what.
Okay. Oh, 5. Okay, cool. All right. So you're
That was me trying out the
okay.
That was me.
Damn it.
I didn't realize that would roll it straight away. I thought that would just add the dice, but it turned out it's a quick roll thing. So ignore that one.
So still rolled crap. Okay. All right. So you've distracted the lady enough. She's like, "Who are you two?" And her spell misfires, and you see a little flicker of light sort of ricochet off the river. What the bloody hell do you want? So you kind of stumbled into her a bit and bumped her, and a spell ricocheted. They're now both turning to face you. He's very angry. He's like, "No!" And he's looking around because Aisling isn't really near him, so he's probably going to turn around to John and Haley.
I just everybody else around here's families. You two were standing up. I thought that maybe you're young. I thought maybe you might have a light. I'm all out of matches. I mean, seriously, look, all these families, none of them are smoking. Come on. I'll tell you what. And I kind of wink, and it's like, I'll let you take the first hit.
He's like, "You bugger off. I'm here with my missus. Don't have time for this rubbish." And he
can you
grabs her by the arm and he goes to leave.
You don't even have a match.
He says, "Sure," and he fumbles around in his pocket, and then he winks at you. Aisling, you can see he's about to do magic on John.
Can I just counter magic again?
Yeah, sure.
That's what it's there for, right?
I just counter magic again, so that's a +3. That's a 12.
All right. So John starts to feel his whole head get warm, like really hot, really quickly, and then it just sort of stops. The guy winked at you as he did it. He's like, "Sure, I'll give you a light, Matty," but his tone is quite aggressive. John and Haley, what are you doing?
Do I smell that intensification of the that scent?
Yes.
That magic?
Yes, you do.
Okay.
Yes, you do. It's all over these two.
Then I'm going to give my olfactories a rest, and because I'm more used to my own musk, I'm going to frighten these people, as it were.
So are you? Oh, so that's by musk, is it?
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah. My musk is supernaturally terrifying.
Such a lovely sentence.
So I'm trying to remember exactly how frightening works, but I believe I make a taunt roll.
Yep.
Which presumably I'm at a bonus because I'm shapeshifted.
Oh, you're actually changing shape.
Oh no, because I'm still in badger.
Yeah, because this is broad daylight. with lots of people around. All right.
Well, no, I mean I'm still in badger form. I have not turned into a human.
Yep. All right. So this smell starts emanating. John, are you doing anything while she's doing that?
Let me ask you this. Is there any chance I could use geomancy to root them in place?
No, it takes time for that sort of thing. It is more to do with ley lines and that. Maybe later on, I think you can get stuff like that, but not at start.
I think what I'm going to do is say, you said you had a match. I mean, you're being really rude. And I'm just going to push him. I'm going to actually engage in some melee here.
All right. How did your taunt roll go, Haley?
Okay. There we go. The base roll was a 5, but that makes it an 11.
Okay.
Because between my skill, my shapeshift, and my bonus from using frightening, and they must spend 2 will to overcome being or to stand up to me, as it were.
Okay. Mm-hmm. They're not going to spend will. They're going to bugger off. But as that's happening, we'll get John to roll melee.
Alrighty. And there's nothing else that comes into play with melee, is there? None of the
really.
traits? Okay. So that is +2. And that is a 7 total.
Okay. So he's pretty big. You don't shove him as hard as you'd like to, but he was already kind of backing off because of the stench. You think if he stayed, you might have been in trouble because he's a fairly big guy. But yeah, as they're both like, oh, no. And they're just like, get the hell away from that. And yeah, they, he sort of grabbed her by the arm and they're both sort of running up the hill.
And I am surreptitiously following because they haven't seen me yet.
Okay. So the two families they're targeted are just sort of looking at them like, what's going on? Oh, well, back to cucumber sandwiches by the river. It's like, So there's a few weirdos every now and then.
Maybe. Oh,
right,
sorry, go on.
Oh, I was going to shapeshift back into human form at the next opportune cluster of botanical vegetation.
Are you all following them, or is it just, or sort of Bodhi following them? Sorry, is Aisling following them, and then you two are sort of watching her?
Well, I'll try to catch up once I've shifted.
And they've made me. I'm just going to stay back yelling at them as a distraction.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So it's not too far to the gardens. Once you get to the gardens, Haley can change because there's enough cover.
Yeah, I figure.
So I'm guessing this is a stealth roll for me.
Yes.
Okay, so that. That is an 11 on following them undetected.
Well. Okay. And Haley's with you, so it's fine. Right, so is John sort of following the other two at a distance, or is he going back to base, or?
I know I couldn't suggest this as a character, but maybe we're interested in why those families in particular were being targeted.
My thought, I like your idea, and it may be better than mine. I was thinking, can we use geomancy to find out where they're going?
Not really.
Okay. Can I use geomancy to find out why they were targeting those families?
Not really, because, they're not doing magic or anything. you don't have the sight, so you can't tell if they're magicians or anything. They just appear to be regular families down by the river.
Okay.
You do have investigator, yeah, but there's nothing odd about these families. They're just families having things by the river. Because they were doing a protection racket. You think they chose a family because you upset one of them, you upset all of them. Fear spreads better, rather than just some random stranger on their own.
Right. Let me think about it for a second. Go ahead with Bodhi and Mendel.
All right, yep. So the other two follow them. Now these two aren't very bright, so they go to, and I'm talking about the characters, I'm talking about the two you're following. So they would go straight to the place that they shouldn't. And it's a sort of arch of two birch trees that have kind of grown into an arch. And one of them's trying to do
Sorry, you disappeared for a second there. I couldn't hear that last bit.
Yeah, two of them.
I thought that was just me. Okay.
They've gone towards some birch trees that are bent over towards each other in an arch, and they're waving around some powder. It looks like they might be trying to do some magic.
I think going against my usual form, I don't try to stop them this time. I just observe and see what they're doing.
Haley, you doing anything? Or
I'm following Aislinn's team. So
okay. All right. So they look around, touch each other's forehead, and disappear.
Can I tell anything about where they've gone, or what sort of, just anything about what sort of magic they've used? Have they teleported? Have they kind of moved into fairy? Have they, like, can I see what it is?
That would be a lore roll.
Okay.
I do have one lord. Does that help?
Yep.
Does that?
Yeah, that's enough.
Yeah.
I think it's +2 to the roll.
Yeah, so that's a 16. Like,
Because I'm trying to figure it out too. I just don't know as much.
We're conferring, kind of seeing if what we've seen before. I mean, you'll know some of it from being in the cult.
This is true. Yeah.
Yep, they've gone to the Fey realm, so they're in an alternate reality, still in this location.
So, I think I'm pulling out my trusty pocket map again and marking this location as kind of where they're coming and going from, and
I mean, you could set fire to the trees and break the doorway. It's up to you.
Tempting, but my feeling is they'd just find another one. I think now we know where they're going, and they don't know that we know. I think this feels like a trap to be sprung next session.
I can see that. Mm-hmm. So, and in this case, of course, in the fiction, a session is probably after you've got a chance to get more drink on. So,
yeah, I turn to Haley and say, "Should we go find John?"
That sounds like a good idea, unless you want me to keep an eye on it in case they come right back out.
Not a bad plan. I mean, and I kind of say, fancy being a badger again.
Should I keep an
don't
eye
know.
on it as a badger or as a?
Do you like? Well, I was thinking a badger seems kind of like an easy thing to hide in bushes, but I suppose that like
I am better
But
at
it
hiding in
is-
bushes as a badger.
It
I
is
am
botanical gardens. You can't
substantially
just
shorter.
pretend to be a student or an artist and
Right.
sit
That's
on one of
true.
the benches and stuff.
Well,
Right.
I'll
And they
leave
haven't
it up to
seen me
you.
in this form before, so they might remember badgers. Also, bear in mind, unless they wash off that musk, they're going to be at least somewhat aromatic for a while.
Yes, that is true.
Hmm.
Oh, I can just
It's
imagine
not as bad
how
as a skunk, but it is like, yeah.
the Fae are just going to love badger musk. That's good. That's going to please them no end.
Well, I'm glad. I like making people.
So yeah, I think I'm
Mhm.
finding John and kind of going up to him when I find him and saying, I'm kind of very excited here. Kind of, we've got them. They just went through a doorway into the Fey realms.
Huh. So,
And best bit of all, they don't know that we know.
Yeah, the doorway to the Feyrealm matches up with the whirlpool you found in your geomancy, so that tracks.
yeah. I'm curious, is there any way that I could use Streetwise to have come up with some official looking credentials that suggest that I am an agent of the state or the local council or something along those lines? Here's maybe I'm watching too much Doctor Who and thinking too much about psychic paper lately, but my thought is I'd like to have something that I can flash to these families so that I can kind of interview them with the kind of authority of the state, so I can say, I apologize for the disturbance, but we've had some accounts of ruffians, and so we've been sending plainclothes officers out, and I wanted to interview you to see if you'd seen these people before, that sort of thing.
Considering the general knowledge of crime investigation, sure, go ahead.
All right. So roll with Streetwise, is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. And does investigation...
Streetwise, you can get the paperwork, but roll with charm to see if they're buying the verbal.
So Streetwise for the paperwork. That's an 11.
Yeah. All right. So you got paperwork for that effect. That's fine.
Alrighty, papers.
And then give yourself a +1 to the roll for the charm roll, because the paperworks look authentic in that.
Okay. +1 on charm. I think I have 1 in charm. I hope I have 1 in charm. I do have 1 in charm. Awesome. This charming man. Ready? And that is a 9.
Okay. Yep. They buy it. They're all, it's September. They're just having a nice picnic by the river with their families. They seem frightfully boring.
Okay. But they haven't seen that couple before or anyone like them?
Yes, they have seen that couple before. Every now and then they've seen them in this area, either in the gardens or here. They think they're from London. Their accent isn't Oxford sort of centric.
Okay. And do they seem to be doing the same thing, that standing there making those strange gestures often?
Well, they're normally walking around. We haven't seen them doing these strange gestures. Were they rude to you or something?
We've just had some reports of people harassing families in the area when they've been picnicking and eating out, like you fine folks are. We're just trying to make sure that you can use these gardens as they're intended. You can have your family picnic in peace.
Okay. Yeah, nothing odd about them. Just we have seen them before.
Okay. Well, if you see them again, please do call this number, and I'll give him, some official looking paperwork that.
But it's your number.
Yeah, it's the detective agency office, but we've got a special line set up for things like this.
Okay. All right. I think you're all playing next time, so we can sort of hit the pause button there if you like.
Yeah.
Yep.
Especially since I figure at this point, this is when Aisling shows up and it's like, we know where they are. They're in the Fey realm, and they don't know that we know.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I guess we can do roses and thorns because this is any negative feedback. We can fix that before next time. So we'll start with Bodhi. Any roses?
So roses is, I love this take on urban fantasy. Kind of, it's the time period and the setting kind of make it a little bit unusual, and I really like how you're going with that so well, Blake, and kind of putting in the period details and the kind of like all the little kind of thematic details that everyone's scattering in are just like really nice.
Okay, cool. Roses, Parker.
Roses all around. I mean, this was a blast. Mendel, I've never played with you before, but I had so much fun listening to the badger parts of your Were-Badger story with Haley, and then the kind of uncertainty and tentativeness as in human form. That was just absolutely delightful. I mean, my musk is supernaturally terrifying. I mean,
Gauntlet quote of the year.
Well, that and fancy being a badger again. Those are two good ones. So, I am absolutely delighted that you decided to play a Were-Badger. That's awesome. And it is, like I said, it's delightful. It's cracking me up. But I also love the way that you're humanizing Haley in her human form with this kind of, I just kind of want to fit in and I want to make sure I'm not screwing anything up. So I'm going to look to everybody else to see if I'm sort of doing this okay, or if they're making some face that says I have made some horrible mistake. So it's fantastic characterization. Love it. Bodhi, happy to play with you again. Mendel, I wish you'd been here for the character setup, because Bodhi and I were going over like genealogy and whether it was a grandmother or a great grandmother that kind of like clued us into cunning folk ways and figured out that Aisling was part Fey. But just setting that backstory up was, I keep saying one of these days I'm just going to do something called charge in the game, like character generation, and that's just what you do. That's the game. And it was just absolutely a blast, even making the characters and like kind of sussing out which character would do this and which would be better at that. So it was delightful. And then I loved the way you played Aisling, just, covering for John while he's off doing something ridiculous or whatnot. So, and Blake, this was so much fun. I mean, the setting was great. I loved how you worked with us to come up with more setting or period appropriate details. I just, having a botanical garden being a whirlpool of ley lines that leads into the fairy realm. I mean, that's genius. So, I appreciate you answering all the questions and helping us make sense of this. This is a little bit crunchier than a lot of the games I'm used to playing on the
Gauntlet. It's a little trad. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not hugely crunchy, but there's like bonuses and skills, and the skills affect your bonuses, and sometimes they double up, and sometimes they negate each other, and sometimes, I found out halfway into the game it's redundant. So, thanks for working with us to kind of set that up and just make sure that we stayed on the right track with it and answering our questions about it. I really appreciate that. And as far as thorns go, I don't have any.
Okay.
If you want to talk about wishes, I would love to see if there are any other were critters in and around the area. Maybe Haley's not quite as alone as she thinks. Maybe there's a were squirrel around. Maybe there's were birds or something. Just some others who can kind of sympathize with it.
Some weird squirrels trying to hijack a Peanuts truck or something.
Listen, they would. So, but beyond that and kind of solving the mystery, I like the way it's been going so far because there's times it seems almost whimsical. There's other times when it seems scary. There's times when it seems a little bit comical, and then there's times when it's just like, wait, what the hell just happened? Did that dude seriously just cough up a frog? So, you've got this kind of whimsy and strangeness going on simultaneously, and I'm digging it.
Yeah,
so.
I'm a huge Neil Gaiman fan, so that does come out a bit in my games.
Awesome.
Okay. Yeah, Sandman and did you ever read the Lucifer series?
No, not that one.
Okay. It was really good.
Yeah.
So,
although that was Mike Carey.
It was.
And
but
actually,
it was
he
based
does
on.
some. Mike Carey actually has urban science fiction or urban fantasy novels, which are I enjoyed the first one. So.
And didn't Carey do The Unwritten as well?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, that was a great series too.
Yeah.
So,
Mendel, did you have any roses and thorns or anything?
So my biggest roses that I loved how we all sort of worked together on that whimsical, that kind of like that tone that kind of is reminiscent of like Good Omens, right? Where it's not nothing is not things can be dark and scary, but there's also like there's a touch of humor and comedy to it, that kind of, and a touch of humanity, which is the other thing. So, and I really did like the dynamic between John and Aisling, and I was sort of like happy to fit in with that, and I was glad that people just rolled with things with the cult survivor / werebadger concept that kind of threw together very quickly.
That was good. It worked well.
Yeah. Interestingly enough, as my second actual Gauntlet game, and in the other game I'm playing, I am apparently also playing an animal who is sometimes a person. So,
yeah.
I only realized that after the fact, but yes. Mm-hmm. So, and I am hopeful. I'm sort of wishing that we do keep that tone, that we keep that like, and that dynamic. It feels like, I was thinking a little bit like, reminds me a little bit of Black Books too. Although perhaps not that level of comedy, but
Yeah.
So,
All right, cool bananas. Yeah. All right, that all went fairly well. Yeah, it takes a little bit to get your head around the system, but it's not like Rollmaster or anything. Okay. All right, that's cool. I'll end the broadcast there. Wave goodbye to the internet.
Yep. Bye, internet.